This is the Sideline Suplex podcast. This is episode number 2. Today we'll be talking about the Rafael Deveres trade to the San Francisco Giants and what I think about it. We'll be talking about the Yankees and the Mets weekend slump. They both got swept. The Yankees by the Red Sox, the Mets by the Rays. We talk about how Juan Soto played this weekend after he was playing very well against the Rockies and the Nationals over the last week, and how he fared in this last weekend against the Rays. We'll talk about the Yankees' offensive slump over the last few games, and we'll also talk about Shohei Ohtani returning to the mound, which he returned to the mound on Monday. We'll discuss how he fared in that contest, and we'll also talk about the NBA Finals Game 5 and the NHL Finals Game 6. Do we have a new Stanley Cup? Is it back-to-back Panthers or the Oilers force a Game 7? Stay tuned, we'll discuss it. Ladies and gentlemen, I also want to include that we are also on TikTok, Instagram, and I have created a Spotify account as well as this podcast also goes on YouTube with the same tag, the Sideline Suplex, on all those platforms. I want to give a shout out to one of my buddies, Joseph. He put together a very good collage of videos that I put on YouTube Shorts, which got very good numbers, and we have 12 subscribers currently on YouTube. Our biggest video that we had looked at through Shorts is Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes, my prediction of a cash-in. We have over 4,000 views and 5 comments, which we appreciate it. That being said, I would like to get into this podcast today and discuss this Rafael Deveres trade. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. So on Sunday afternoon, around 5:36 p.m., the San Francisco Giants have acquired all-star slugger Rafael Deveres from the Boston Red Sox. I think this is a great move for the San Francisco Giants. It reminds me of this Mookie Betts trade that the Red Sox made. And a few years later, the Dodgers were making the World Series and winning the World Series. Now they have 2 championships. I think that what Boston received in return was not enough for a player that is under contract until 2033. His money isn't crazy, and it's also deferred money, which the Giants are paying the entire $250 remaining million that is left on the salary. The return is completely underwhelming in Jordan Hicks, who's under contract until 2027, and he'll be a free agent in 2028. Currently, he's on the IL with a toe injury. He was also on the IL last year. It'll be interesting to see, do they go back to him as a reliever? They make him be a closer, a setup man, as a starting pitcher. I believe he started 20 games last year with a very high ERA. The year before, he didn't start any. He had 8 saves, and his fastball gets up to 101. I still think he has the speed to get up to 101 when he returns. I mean, let's be honest, it's never a bad thing to acquire pitchers. You never know when you're going to need a pitcher, especially if you're going to have eventually a deep playoff run, which the Red Sox have been capable of doing, where they have 4 championships since 2004. They have 2004, 2007, 2013, and 2018. Ironically, they beat the Dodgers in 2018, which is interesting. And then they traded Mookie Betts. Interesting. Very, 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 very interesting. But yeah, but like I was saying, I don't think it's a great trade for the Boston Red Sox. Time will tell how the trade looks, but Rafael Deveres is a superstar in my opinion, a Yankee killer. So the Yankees actually got bailed out here. He started the year very sluggish, and then he picked it up. But baseball's a long season; it's 162 games, so it could take time. Look at Aaron Judge last year; he struggled in the first month. He batted 111, didn't produce in the playoffs, but that's besides the point. But yes, Rafael Deveres is a home run get for the San Francisco Giants, and I think they have a chance to win a World Series this year. And throughout this tender that he's there for those 10 years, they definitely can win a World Series, maybe multiple. I also think his contract is so small in terms of contracts nowadays, where I believe that he can be flipped for more in the future if the Giants are going through a rebuild in, 4 or 5 years. His contract ends when he's 37. He's in the prime of his career, so he still has a lot of time left to produce and play. The return besides Jordan Hicks is Kyle Harrison. He has played with the Giants for a few years sporadically. He was a top prospect at one point. He's a starting pitcher. He was optioned down to AAA, so they're going to work on his mechanics and see how he could produce his pitches for them. I see him probably coming back up again at the end of this year, maybe even next year, if not this year. But they'll try to get him right. They also got 2 prospects as well, so hopefully for the Red Sox sake, they will look better. A stupid comment was said, the CEO, Red Sox chief baseball officer, and I quote, "I do think there's a real chance that at the end of the season we're looking back and we've won more games than we otherwise would have." I think that is so stupid. You traded away a superstar, but you're going to win more games. Bullshit. You ain't winning more games. You're probably going to be 5th place this year. It's just another stupid trade by the Red Sox. They continue to do these stupid moves. Mookie Betts, dumb trade a few years ago. What have they gotten from them? Who's left on the team? Seriously. So I don't think the Red Sox are done making trades. I think they're going to be moving more pieces out at the trade deadline. Cora's probably gone after this year. I think he's a good manager. He'll get on with somebody. Maybe the Red Sox have a second half year like the Detroit Tigers had last year. I doubt it. They're 37 and 36 right now. They just traded away their best players. I don't think much of them right now. All right, we're gonna move on, and we're gonna talk about how the Yankees and the Mets got swept this last weekend. The Yankees, they lost 2-1 to the Red Sox on Friday night. They didn't score a run into the 9th inning when Aaron Judge hit a solo shot. And then the following day, the Yankees lost to the Red Sox. And then again in the 9th inning, they scored a run. Too little, too late for them. And then they lost 2-0 on Father's Day on Sunday. Let me pause for a second. I want to wish every father a happy Father's Day. Hopefully you had a good Father's Day. Any fathers that are listening. But back to what I was discussing. The Yankees. They scored 1 run in the Sunday following week against the Royals. And then they came here against the Red Sox and they score 1 run, 3 run, no runs. And they get swept. And on Monday, they didn't score a run. They haven't scored a run. I'm recording this on Monday, this part, and they haven't scored a run through 7 innings currently, as they are playing the Angels and it's 0-0. So their offensive woes, as I'm recording this, is still there. They're just struggling still. And then for the Mets side, they got swept by the Rays, and they lost 8-4 Saturday. On Friday, they lost 7-5, so their offense is playing fine. And then they lost 9-0 Sunday. So New York got shut out 11-0 Father's Day. Crazy. Yankees have lost 5 out of 6 to the Red Sox this year. They need to get their act together against the Red Sox. The Yankees are a better team than the Boston Red Sox, and they're showing that they're not, which is pathetic. If you want to be a World Series team, you need to beat your rival. The Yankees had a huge lead in the division. Now it's dwindled down currently to 3.5 with the Rays, and the Rays are beating the crap out of the Orioles currently 5-1 today, Monday. The Yankees look to try to score more runs, as they still have 0 runs, like I stated a few minutes ago. From the 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 3 days in a row, the Yankees have scored 1 run, 0 runs, 1 run, 3 runs in a 4-game span. That is just pathetic, and now they have 0 tonight. It's the typical New York Yankees season, how they do shit. They continue to do shit. They play good early in the year, and then they struggle. Play good, and then they struggle. And then they'll get it on. They'll play fine for 3 months. They just do things. They don't play offensively the way they need to be playing, and they're struggling right now. The offense is going to go through Aaron Judge again to get them going, and especially Friday. Thursday, he didn't even play. They won 1-0, and then Friday, he gets a hit in the top of the ninth. He hits a monster home run over the Green Monster at Fenway. They're playing pathetic baseball currently, and it sucks to see as a Yankee fan. Met fans would say, well, you're missing Juan Soto. let's segue into that. Juan Soto is currently batting with the New York Mets, 247. And last week, he came off a 5-game hitting streak. Going into Saturday's baseball game against the Tampa Bay Rays, he was on a 5-game hitting streak, playing the best baseball he's played all season long. But he beat up on the Colorado Rockies, who are the most pathetic baseball team I've ever seen in my entire life. And I think if they played the 2024 Chicago White Sox, I think the Chicago White Sox in a 6-game series, let's say they played 6 games in a year, I believe the Chicago White Sox would have beat them 6 times. That's how pathetic the Colorado Rockies are. Where when they won, I think, 3 games to start the month of June. I think they won June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And their Twitter account is bragging how they're 3-0 or 3-1 in the month. Like, let's be honest, your team sucks. Your team is awful. A AAA team may be able to be competitive against your team. Well, you have a AAA roster, so maybe a AA team. Let's get the Yankees AA team against your major league team, and they may have a fighting chance against your team because your team sucks. Your team's awful. Awful. But back to my point. Juan Soto, he comes into Saturday, you think, oh, he's turning the corner, he's going to start playing better, and he goes for the last 6, and that's Saturday and Sunday, and for the series he went 1 for 10. He did walk 3 times, which is a good sign, but he did strike out once, and the Mets got swept. So, as long as he could beat up on the bad teams, that's fine, right, Met fans? No. And in the playoffs, he probably will produce, but he needs to be playing better at all times. I mean, they paid him over $760 million. Why did Shohei Ohtani, the first year he was with the Dodgers, they gave him the money they gave him, and he goes and wins the MVP? Juan Soto isn't doing that. And I don't think Juan Soto ever will win an MVP because he's just a career 280 hitter. And he will always be a career 280 hitter. He won't ever bat 330. He's never going to hit for 45 home runs. He's never going to lead the league in RBIs. He's not going to do any of those things. So, is he going to produce in the playoffs? Sure, he produces in the playoffs. But history states when you're a New York Met, things change. And who knows with Juan Soto? When he was with the Nationals, there was guys in the lineup that was around him that kind of protected him a little. Same thing with the San Diego Padres. He had Machado. He had Tatis. You had the little guys there. Xavier Bogaerts was there. I don't know if they played in the playoffs together, or they might have played in the playoffs again together, or they missed the playoffs together. But I know with Machado and Francisco Tatis, they played at least 1 or 2, and they did get to the championship series, but they did fall short in 6 games to the Phillies, and the Phillies then lost to the Astros in the World Series. But he can produce. But it's a new era. He's got paid all this money, the most money he has gotten in his contract, and he has an opt out after year 5, which I expect him to use that opt out, and I honestly expect him to return to the New York Yankees when his contract is up. But if he starts producing, playing really, really good for the New York Mets, then maybe things change in the future. But currently, right now, I see him walking. He doesn't look happy there, and I know if there's any Met fans listening to this, they're going to disagree. But when you're paid $765 million, you're expected to go out there and bat 330. You're expected to be the best hitter on your team, and he's not. He's not even the 3rd best hitter on this team. Maybe he's the 3rd best hitter. But when you're batting 247, can you be really trusted? He got his average up to about 255 this past weekend, and then it dropped again. And they play the Atlanta Braves coming up starting tomorrow, Tuesday. This will be posted on Wednesday. I'm going to be posting sports podcasts on Wednesday, and my wrestling podcasts are going to be on Friday. That's going to be my schedule moving forward. I'm going to try best doing that. There'll be some weeks where I don't post on Wednesday because I have a job where I work 40 and sometimes more, so I can't be posting all time. But every week I'm going to at least post 1 video. I'm going to try to get 2 out every week. My best. I'm on vacation next week, so I should be able to get a few videos posted during the week, and I'll have those shorts posted. Thank you, Joey. You really helped me out with that. But yeah, Juan Soto needs to be playing better for the New York Mets for them to really be considered as a serious threat. Do I think they're a serious threat? Yes, because their starting pitchers doing really good. They got beat up this last weekend. Maybe it was just Maybe it's just a weekend. If it's a pattern moving forward, you know, then it's a question mark on their team. But currently, right now, that's not a question mark on that team. They have the best rotation in the entire league. 1 to 5 is really good. There's some underrated pitchers in there. I know they have a lot of young prospects in the minors that are coming up within the next one year or two. They have a guy named Tong who is amazing in the minors. He's expected to come up within the next year or so. He's really good, and he's gonna be he'll probably be their ace of the future. I believe his name is Jose Tong. I may have the first name butchered, but I believe his last name's Tong, and he from what I was looking on the pipeline about him about a week and a half ago, he looks really good. So he should be coming up soon. I believe he's in Double A currently. So they have more pitchers coming up, but the the biggest question is Juan Soto. If Juan Soto plays offensively how he's capable of doing, this Mets team is the most dangerous team in baseball. It takes him if he gets in a groove and he plays the way he plays with the shuffle, the Soto shuffle, and gets in the pitcher's head, they are the most dangerous team in baseball. But if he doesn't, and he is playing like how he's been playing, and he's questioning the game, maybe he's hurt, maybe he's had a back injury, maybe he got something wrong, maybe it's psychological where he's like trying to like get used to playing on the opposite side of New York with not being protected by Aaron Judge. It's only June. If this is continuing in like September, then you got questions. I mean, it's a long contract, so it's only year one. So when they get to the playoffs, because they'll be a playoff team, we'll really see. Because that's the only thing that really matters. If he bats 250 in the regular season and he gets to the playoffs and they go on a deep run and they get to the World Series and he bats 300 in the playoffs with 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, and he walks a million times. Nobody's going to remember his regular season of batting 250 struggling in May and June. Nothing like that's going to matter. But it really depends on how he plays down the stretch for the Mets. They are a really good baseball team, and they need him to produce to be even a greater baseball team. I mean, they did take the series from the Dodgers, so that's something. But if they can get back to, if they take care of business this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday against the Atlanta Braves, then everyone's going to forget about how bad they looked on the weekend. So that's what my thoughts are on about the Yankees, the Mets, and the Red Sox trade. It's going to be really interesting to see what the Yankees, if their offense could get it back rolling. They're going through a little slump. It's a long season, so hopefully it's not too long. Hopefully it's not a 2022, 2023, 2024 Yankees. So let's just hope that it's just a little slump that they're going through, and then they're gonna get back on track. For the Mets, look forward to seeing how Juan Soto produces throughout the year, and we'll talk about Juan Soto next week. And as from where we are today to where we are next week, we'll discuss what he did in the past week and give my feedback on that. And we'll keep tabs on Rafael Deveres and see how he does with the Giants and see how those pitchers they got back and the outfield prospect they got. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens there. All right, so next we're going to talk about Shohei Ohtani returning back to the mound. All right, guys, so Shohei Ohtani returned to the mound. He did pitch only 1 inning. It was basically a live bullpen session for him. He only pitched an inning, 28 pitches. Took him 28 pitches to get 3 outs. And then you got social media accounts from people that are reporters in LA basically trying to make it look better than it was. The guy hasn't pitched in 2 years. He wasn't going out there pitching 7 scoreless innings, giving up 2 hits and 8 strikeouts. That just wasn't happening. If I'm the Dodgers, I'm actually not making him pitch much. I would actually make him pitch maybe 4 innings every other week or so this year. I wouldn't be going crazy with him. I just think that they paid for a pitcher and a hitter, and they paid the money that they paid. But he is such a great hitter that he's just worth that money being the hitter he is. So I think that he needs to be sporadically thrown in as a pitcher. I don't think it's worth it because he could get hurt again, and it could affect his hitting like it did in the World Series when he hurt his elbow, I believe he hurt, or shoulder in the World Series, and I think he batted his last 18 at bats. I think he had 2 hits. So it didn't matter because they won 4-1, but still. Yeah, so that's that. I really think that they need to be very cautious with this. But, he came in, pitched 1 inning, gave up 2 hits, 1 run, and that was that. So that's mostly what I have to say about Shohei Ohtani. There wasn't much to add to that. He had 2 hits after that, and the Dodgers won. And then the Dodgers won again on Tuesday, which they won 8-6 on Tuesday. On Monday they won. They won 6-3 against the San Diego Padres, and they're in first. So they can be doing these little things to see what they got with Shohei. I would most likely, if I was them, try to keep his arm fresh for the playoffs, because in the playoffs they could use him more than in the regular season. It's not as important. They're going to make the playoffs if he pitches or he doesn't pitch. So having him have little bullpen games, he pitches 4 innings or 3 innings, all the way up until late August, early September, and then pitch him 5 innings. That's something that they could do, which would make sense. They could do that. I think in the National League, it's the Giants, the Dodgers, the New York Mets, if Juan Soto plays how he could play in the playoffs. The Phillies are dangerous, and then we'll see the wild cards, because these playoffs get crazy with this new wild card setup. Last year is the only year since they did this new wild card rule where it's the third place team in the AL versus the wild card team, and then the 2 wild card teams play each other. This is the first time both World Series teams were non-wild card teams. So it's interesting because a few years before, you got the Phillies that made a magic run, wild card team. You had the Diamondbacks who made a wild run, wild card team, and then who played the Diamondbacks in the 2023 World Series, which was the Texas Rangers, which was a wild card team, and they beat the Diamondbacks in the World Series. So it's interesting how they've been, this new setup they have, they enjoy it. So yeah, so we'll see how everything shapes out later in the year. But the Dodgers are going to make the playoffs. The Dodgers could repeat. It wouldn't put it past me. But I think the San Francisco Giants are a very, very dangerous team, especially getting Rafael Deveres. He's just very dangerous, and he's going to produce for them. I think they should go to the playoffs. The Padres are no slouch either. So they'll be in the playoffs, in my opinion. And I think the Mets will round it out with the Phillies in the AL. I think we're looking at in the National League. The American League is too tight to even say anything. But for the National League, in my opinion, I understand that today is only June 18th. But I think that in the National League, I think you got, as your teams, playoff teams, I think you got the New York Mets as the divisional winner, Chicago Cubs as a divisional winner, and the LA Dodgers as a divisional winner. That's your three divisional winners. And then I think the Cubs are the wild card playing team, and the New York Mets and the LA Dodgers are the bye. They have the bye until the divisional series. And then I think you're getting the Phillies, the Giants, and the Padres with the Cubs in that play-in. And it will be very interesting to see how that plays out, because all of those teams are very good baseball teams. And all of those teams can make a deep playoff run, in my opinion. I know it's only June 18th, and a lot of things change, and things can change. The Brewers could start playing better, so that's my opinion on what will happen. The current standing has all three of those teams. I mean, the Brewers are only a game out. The Reds are only a game out. The Cardinals are only a game and a half out of the Padres for that final wild card spot. But that's my opinion. I mean, the Mets, the Cubs, and the Dodgers all have 45 wins. So, and the Phillies have 43, so they can catch the Mets for the division, and so can the Dodgers be caught by the San Francisco Giants. They're only up 4, so there's a long season ahead. But that's my opinion on what it is, and it will be interesting. And honestly, if that's how it stays, and it's like the Cubs move down to the 3 and the wild card teams stay how they are currently, it will be the Cubs versus the Padres and the Phillies versus the Giants, which I think would be really great series, 3-game set. So later in the year, I'll make a baseball MLB prediction on who I think is going to win the World Series when we get a lot closer to the playoffs. So that'll be a lot further down the road. But it's going to be very interesting to see how everything shapes out. And like I was stated in the beginning, for the LA Dodgers, they should really really hold Shohei Ohtani out until they really need to pitch him full blown. Pitch him like 3 or 4 innings, get his arm, back to form it needs to be, but don't put him in a position where he can get hurt again. And that's what I would do. That's my opinion on what I would do with Shohei Ohtani. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about the NBA Finals game number 5 and how it could affect game number 6. All right, guys. OKC took game number 5 at home, 120-109 over the Indiana Pacers, which in this game, Tyrese Halliburton got hurt. He hurt his calf. He's currently going under an MRI today to see the severity of the injury. I don't think there's a chance in the world that he misses game 6. Can't happen. Won't happen. Take care of that in the offseason. Playing for a championship. He doesn't look like a player that's going to not play in this game. So, I know he's listed as a game-time decision, but I see him playing. He only scored 4 points in game number 5 due to the injury. He scored no points in the first half, and then he returned for the second half. He was in there in the fourth quarter. They didn't do enough to win. They were a quarter away from being up 3-1 in game number 4 to now looking at elimination in game number 6. The Thunder tomorrow on my birthday have a chance to win their first ever NBA Finals, where the Indiana Pacers could force a game number 7, which would be on Sunday, June 20th. I think that this series is over. I think the Thunder are going to come in, and I think they're going to beat the crap out of the Pacers in game number 6 and win their first NBA title. I can be crazily wrong, but that's my opinion on how things are going to go. In game number 5, Jalen Williams went absolutely bananas. He scored 40 points, got 6 rebounds and 4 assists. He went crazy. And SGA scored 31 points, and he had a double-double. So you have 2 guys that scored 71 points on your team. Insane between those 2 guys. And they had 2 other guys. You got Aaron Wiggins and Kayson Wallace scored 11 points. Everybody else scored single digits. So that was basically their entire offense was those two guys. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Game 6 goes. In my opinion, it's going to go very, very bad for the Indiana Pacers, especially if Halliburton is gimpy on that calf. They probably are going to give him a shot in his leg, and he'll be fine. The adrenaline will take him over, and I think he'll play fine. I just don't know if they have enough to beat the Thunder. I think the Thunder want it so bad. I really believe they want it so bad, and I think they're going to get what they want. And I think they're going to be NBA champions. I really, really, really do. I think they're going to be NBA champions, and it's going to be a very interesting offseason in the NBA to see where everything goes. The New York Knicks still are struggling to get a head coach right now after firing Tom Thibodeau, which, in my opinion, I thought was the right thing to do. I think going after Jason Kidd was the right thing to do. They had a plan, just their plan was beneficial on other people saying yes to their plan. And they were trying to interview current head coaches, and these teams didn't want to lose those head coaches. That's that for the NBA talk, and that's that for the NBA Finals talk. So it'll be interesting to see where everything goes. We're going to be talking next about the NHL Game 6 and how one ugly game may have cost the Edmonton Oilers their superstar in 2026. Coming up next. Alright, guys. Edmonton Oilers have lost their second straight Stanley Cup, meaning the Florida Panthers have won their second straight Stanley Cup, which was an incredible series, but the Florida Panthers dominated the series pretty much after Game 1. Yes, Edmonton won another game, but they had to come back from 3-0 down. Edmonton could have taken a 2-0 lead and won in Game number 2 in overtime, but Brad Marchand scored. Brad Marchand had an amazing playoffs, an amazing Stanley Cup. He scored multiple clutch goals. He scored the game-winning goal in Game number 2. He scored the first goal in Game number 3, which helped them take a 2-1 lead against the Edmonton Oilers. And then last night was just a beaten. Just like Game number 3 was a beatdown in Florida. Game number 6 was a beatdown in Florida. And for the second year in a row, the Edmonton Oilers lost an elimination game in Florida. And you could see Connor McDavid on the bench defeated. But before we even discuss Connor McDavid and what I predict is going to happen in the near future, I want to congratulate the Florida Panthers on winning another Stanley Cup. And the Conn Smythe this year, not like last year, which was Connor McDavid, which a Florida Panther won this year. Sam Bennett won it, which is incredible to see his career going from a top 10 pick with the Calgary Flames to being traded for absolutely nothing a few years ago to now his contract year having an unbelievable year, being a great number 2 center, and he had 15 goals in this playoffs, including 5 in the Stanley Cup, and he won the Conn Smythe. I thought Sam Reinhart was going to win it because he had 4 goals in Game number 6, which was incredible, and it's a very, very, very incredible to see him score 4 goals. He's another player that he was drafted high by the Buffalo Sabres, and he was nothing with them. And then the Florida Panthers get him, and he's great. He's really great. Same thing with Tkachuk, traded with the Calgary Flames. And when the trade happened, I thought Calgary ripped off the Panthers. And it's crazy how the Panthers have gone to 3 straight cups, and they've won 2 cups. And they're pretty much a dynasty now. I mean, they say you have to win 3 to be a dynasty. I don't care. They got into 3 cups, and they won 2 of them back-to-back. I think, in my opinion, I think they're a dynasty. And they deserve all the credit that they get. And I don't think anytime soon this team is going anywhere. I think they're going to re-sign a lot of the guys that are going to be free. I think Sam Bennett will re-sign. I think they'll give him close to what he wants. And he fits there like a glove. He does fit there like a glove. He's a scrappy, nasty player. And I think that he's a great player, and he is going to be there for a very long time. Before we get into what I want to talk about with Connor McDavid, Evander Kane is a scumbag piece of crap. At the end of the game, your team is losing 5, it may have been 4-0 at that time, and you slash Tkachuk in his arm, and then you circle back around and slash him again in his arm. I understand you guys are bitter rivals, but have some class, you dick. Really, have some class. Go gamble your money away again, like you do all the time. You filed for bankruptcy 3 years ago because you're a piece of shit. Go ahead, and I hope Edmonton doesn't bring him back. I don't even know if he's a free agent, but trade his ass. You don't need that idiot in your locker room. How many penalties did he take in the first 5 games in the first period? Like, come on, he's an idiot. Okay, now back on track to Connor McDavid. I've been predicting this for about 4 months now, that the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to let Mitch Marner walk in free agency, and they're going to let John Deveres walk in free agency, and they're not going to go crazy in free agency, and they're going to set themselves up for the summer of Connor McDavid 2026, and I think they're going to try to make a big play at Connor McDavid when he becomes a free agent in the summer of 2026. It's going to be very interesting because we have to see what the Edmonton Oilers do this offseason. Getting back-to-back cups and losing it Maybe he can't win in Edmonton. Maybe he has to leave. Maybe Toronto's luck of losing in the playoffs will end if they get Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid and Matthews on the same team. Could be interesting. They get rid of Mitch Marner. Maybe they have to trade Matthews to make this work. But if they did trade Matthews, the haul that they would get for him would be a lot. So it's very interesting to see what is going to be happening. The Edmonton Oilers didn't win the cup back-to-back years because of how great the Panthers are. Does he want to go to Toronto and have to play the Panthers, be in the same division as them? Maybe that's something he wants. He wants to get revenge on them and be in their division and play them multiple times a year and be a rival with them in their division. I don't know. Maybe Edmonton goes this offseason, they add a goalie, and they get back to the cup next year. And next year they win it. And then that offseason, he's like, oh, I'll just resign here. That could happen. But I am predicting Connor McDavid is going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf in 2026. And I think by 2028, he will win the Stanley Cup as a Toronto Maple Leaf. He is not going to go his entire career without winning a cup. Edmonton, since he's been there, I believe 4 of the last 5 years, they've been deep in the playoffs, and I think 3 of the last 5, they've been twice to the cup and once to this conference final. So, they'll be fine. I think that he is looking at free agency next year. I don't think he's going to re-up with Edmonton this year. I think he's going to let the year play out and see what happens, but I believe he's going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. And that's my prediction, and I'm standing by it. June 18th, 2025, I am predicting July 1st, 2026, Connor McDavid is a Toronto Maple Leaf. All right, that will be it for today's episode, guys. I hope you enjoy. Please leave a comment. Please leave a like. Please tell me if you enjoyed today's episode. Tell me what you think in the comments. I do really appreciate everybody tuning into these episodes. This is episode 2. We'll be dropping episode number 3 on Friday. It will be about wrestling. I'll be talking about my prediction of what I see happening between John Cena and CM Punk, which may shock a lot of you what my prediction is, and what will lead to a SummerSlam marquee match. I will also be talking about Monday Night Raw and Goldberg returning on the next episode on Friday. And I hope everybody has a very, very, very good rest of their week. I really enjoy talking with you guys and discussing my opinions. I am really looking forward to episode number 3 and episode 4 and episode 5 and episode 6, and just keep moving forward and keep enjoying putting out this content. Yet again, I would like to thank one of my best friends, Joey, for putting out these little shorts for me and putting my audio and back of wrestling clips and also hockey clips. So I really appreciate all of that from him on that end, and I appreciate everybody that clicks on this video and watches it. As I stated in the beginning of the video, we are on Spotify, we are on YouTube, we are on TikTok, and we are on Instagram with the all of the same handle, the Sideline Suplex. The Sideline Suplex on TikTok, on Spotify, on Instagram, and if you're listening to this, you're most likely listening to this on YouTube. So that same handle is for those other 3, and I would love for people to go over there and subscribe. I will be posting more YouTube shorts this week on what the podcast will be about. Like I stated a few minutes ago, like, subscribe, comment, everything's much appreciated. Your feedback's much appreciated. I would love to know what everyone's thinking. And if you have the same thoughts and opinions as mine, maybe you have something different that you want to add, which would be really cool. And I'll get back to everybody as much as I possibly can and give my opinions back to their opinion. But thank you for tuning in to episode number 2. And I appreciate everyone's time. And thank you, guys. Have a good one.